Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today we're taking a look at the Colbert. This is a ship I don't play all that often, but I have been enjoying it recently. Good friend of mine, John the Ruthless, in my clan actually plays this ship a ton on his live stream, and he's unbelievably good at it. So if you're interested in more Colbert games and you want to see someone play it really well all the time, I'll link his stream in the description down below. But for this game, I'm trying to channel my inner John the Ruthless here and playing a Colbert with a pretty weird build. We don't have range mod, we're full reload, and we're not even taking some concealment here. And it's actually going to work out reasonably well for me. I certainly had some help from our Yamagiri here, giving us a smoke early on. And I'm kind of just setting up here, waiting to see if the enemy team pushes. That's really what we're hoping for. Anytime I'm playing a Colbert or any of these light cruisers with a ton of DPM, but maybe lacking range, we're a little squishy, we're trying to set up behind an island, or if a teammate's going to give us smoke, we'll try and get one of those as well, and just farm these battleships as they push in. The range certainly is limiting on the Colbert, especially if you don't take range mod. But since our shells are so floaty anyway, it kind of makes sense that maybe that 16 kilometers of range you would get with range mod isn't even all that useful, unless you're getting battleships that are just stationary reversing. That's really the only time. You can see here, even at 13 kilometers, it is slow getting these shells to target. However, they do a lot of damage. You have an insanely fast reload with this ship and a ton of fire chance as well. So we're actually going to rack up a ton of damage on this bomber. This ship, of course, is in the research bureau. I usually have been recommending getting the Ohio first, but if you're into these light cruisers and you can play this ship, this thing is a lot of fun. It's a very unique ship, and it's hard to play. It's nowhere near as easy to play as the Smolensk. You might kind of consider that as its counterpart, since they're both very squishy, small light cruisers with a ton of DPM. Smolensk, though, of course, has its smoke built in, so we don't actually have to have a teammate give us a smoke. And the shell velocity is way better. It also is a little bit smaller, and its citadel is much easier to just overpen if it goes broadside. Colbert, if you're broadside, is just big enough that battleships will arm their AP, and you're going to get dev struck a little bit easier. So even though Colbert gets this nice speed boost and more DPM, it is much harder to play just because it doesn't have the same tools that a Smolensk might have. So there we go, 63,000 damage to start things off, just farming down a Pommern very, very quickly. It's a lot of damage that this thing can pump out. It's a very high risk and very high reward for this thing. So getting the cap here with the Special Commander is going to give us a little bit more fire chance if we needed that. And then going to town on this Satsuma. The AA is just okay, even though it should be pretty strong considering it's kind of its role, right, as a light cruiser. Probably would have been pretty good with its AA. In this game, it's not very good, but we'll see if that changes with the carrier rework and sub rework, if we want to call them that, coming up in the future. Hopefully 2024 we get to see that. But for now, our AA really isn't good enough to really sustain us on our own, especially against a Nakamov that can just strike and strike and strike over and over and over again. And he's actually right here in front of us in the corner of the map here behind this island. So we're going to be a bit of an AA bot for our teammates here and just try and prevent him from striking. We're going to do some AA damage, but let's be honest, the strikes are still going to get through. So we're just going to try and reverse out. Unfortunately, our hero destroyer, who was giving us smokes there, ended up dying there for us. So appreciate it. Thank you very much for the smoke and sacrificing yourself for me. I was in a bit of a rough position there, so he really saved my game in this one. Again, Nakamov coming in to strike us or our battleships here. It's pretty difficult to deal with those strikes coming in over and over again. So we're just going to wait. Our team has decent map control. We are ahead on caps, and the points are going to tick rather substantially. You can see my inability to aim with these shells here a little bit. It takes me some time to get on target with some of these smaller ships like Kashima there, but it's really powerful against those DDs when they are in range. No radar, of course, you're relying on your teammates to spot things, but the DPM that you can apply is extreme. Now, moving on in this game, I did just sit behind that island for several minutes at a time there, just because there wasn't really much room to push here. The Satsuma was in the corner. We were dealing with a Edgar and a Hindenburg around here as well as just a Nakamov. I mean, pushing out from that island would have been suicidal, at least when the Nakamov was still up. But for now, we're going to try and push. We got our speed boost up. Open watering in this ship is pretty difficult, since you do have to get so close to people. But when your speed boost is up, you're actually pretty maneuverable. So we actually are able to dodge some shells, as well as just outspeed things. As soon as your speed boost is out, though, yeah, you definitely don't want to be in the open water with this ship, just because you become a bit of a brick. It's a classic speed boost issue, where you feel like a god when your speed boost is up, and then suddenly everything is so sluggish. You feel like you're wading through waist-deep water the instant your speed boost is down. But we're still going to push here, and we actually managed to pick up the Yamagiri. Plenty of damage yet to gain in this match, although it is going to be over soon. It's kind of the unfortunate side of playing tier 10 and super ships tier these days. It's just that things are so passive a lot of the time that in a Colbert, you're actually just not going to get in range a lot of the time unless you play extremely aggressively. And I have a lot of trouble with that. So again, if you want to see someone do it successfully, John the Ruthless on his Twitch is a great spot to go for this thing. But Satsuma here is actually going to get farmed down by us pretty quickly. The sheer DPM on this thing is actually hilarious. I think it's so much fun. Keep in mind, though, that this is what it would look like a little bit if we gave battleships the ability to manually control their secondaries. If we gave them, normal accuracy for those caliber of guns. This is kind of what battleship secondaries would be. So as much as I would love to see battleships gain full manual control over their secondaries, where you could aim and shoot them and all that, you'd have to tone them down a little bit, because this is what it would be. It would be insane, and you wouldn't even have the weakness that a Colbert has in that, I mean, you're just a floating citadel, right? If they catch you, you are going to explode. So a little bit of something to think about there, but it's still very fun to just aim so many guns and just shoot over and over and over again. We do get the victory here. We pick up our 4th kill and our 5th, so a double strike Kraken there to end it out, nearly getting 200k out of this one. Not the most damage you could get, certainly, but I felt pretty good about this match. And an arsonist on that poor Satsuma. Yeah, it's so much damage output. So you gotta play it right, you gotta position it well, but it's a high risk, high reward ship. So if you get caught out, you die. If you don't, you're gonna have a pretty fun game. And another big shout out to our DD that really helped us survive that early game to actually have a decent late game. That kind of is the other thing to consider about these light cruisers, is they get stronger the later the game goes, just because there's less ships around, you have more room to maneuver without getting yourself into a crossfire. As for the build that I'm running, this is what it looks like. I haven't gone full aggressive build. I don't remember. I think John actually takes outnumbered. I could be wrong here. But no concealment here, notably. So we actually are getting top grade gunner a lot of the time when we're firing. Heavy HE is just kind of free here since our gun caliber is so small. Only 127s here, but a lot of fire chance, a lot of alpha damage when you're hitting those superstructures. Adrenaline rush, of course. Superintendent and survivability expert here are what's going to help keep us alive. So that's both the healing and that speed boost. 41k HP is decent, but not a lot here. 12.1 conceal is not great. Certainly you should take a full conceal build if you are new to Colbert, but this is actually running steering gears as well. Typically with this ship in the past, I have played it with full double conceal, but I've kind of tried to swap over to a little bit of what John does. I guess not fully, but it seems to work. It's hard though, it's hard. I guess maybe it's more risk and more reward is a great way of saying it on a ship that already is very extreme in those two camps. But that is the Colbert. If you're looking for a very fun research bureau ship, this is definitely one you should be considering picking up. That said, it is very, very difficult to play. I'm picking out a good game, and by no means are all of my games like this. But yeah, the Citadel is gigantic just before I go. Very above water, pretty thick, so battleships are just gonna destroy you if they get a hold of you at those closer ranges even. So you can't even rely on go broadside, just take overpens gimmick that some of the light cruisers can rely on. Doesn't quite work with the Colbert. That's going to do it for today's video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.